Okay, I am very sorry about this. My ISP, I've got to have a talk with them because this is the second stream in a row where the broadcast has been interrupted, and I'm paying my bills. So, in any case, I'm going to take a minute here. We need to load up Hellblade again, but I did reset my computer and I did reset my router. Um, so I need to jump in. I won't do as long of an intro as before. I am going to make sure that the stream is up and running. Um, but I do want to give people a chance to come in, particularly because one, I was late originally, and then second, because of the technical problems. But let's just see. All right, cool. Um, all right, first challenge down. Let's reopen Senua's Saga. Oh, for heaven's sake. Incompatibility, unsupported 16-bit application. uh, I was perhaps a little surprised to little surprised to learn that this is a 16-bit application. I don't think this is true, but um, but yeah, I will try and cover a little bit of the material we talked about before. I don't want to spend. I'm not going to completely redo all of it, but I think there's something kind of worth thinking about as we get closer to the end here. So, um, I talked a bit about Beowulf before, and I think probably what's happening here is that as I play this game, sort of my mind is going to the closest reference that I can get. Now, in fairness, you know, Beowulf is the beginning of, or near the beginning of the what we'll know as English literature. It's an Old English, but of course, it's a story about people a lot more like what's depicted inside of the inside of the game. And again, I'm sure there are probably other works that might even be sources for Senua's Saga to draw from. But to me, I'm working with the material that I have. But one of the things that I kind of stuck with me in terms of what we talked about in the previous stream on Monday was this idea of some of the like a tendency in terms of stories to go from what we normally associate as sort of traditional stories. And I do want to talk about the Vonnegut talk. I'll try and minimize the editorial on it, but you know, basically we have this conception of older stories being more traditional. You know, here's the good guy, here's the bad guy. Good guy deals with the bad guy, and that's that. And the counterpoint I would make to that is that I think if you actually look at old stories, very, very few of them are actually that simple. Or you may say that their plots can be described that simply, but I'm not entirely sure that would be an accurate how do I put it? I'm not entirely sure that would be summarizing everything that's present inside of that story. For instance, when we were talking about Total War Troy and the really good introduction to that Bernard Knox gives for Robert Fagel's translation, that's the one that you can find in the Penguin edition of it. Knox makes a really interesting point that the gods really only show up when there's kind of a credible choice that one of these characters can make, right? They're sort of at a crossroads. They can go a certain direction or another. And while the gods are being depicted as as influencing human affairs, there's a perfectly legitimate reading that says that in the end, these are decisions that the characters are making. They actually give some specific examples with Achilles to really drive that home. Overall, I think it's a really excellent essay, and I would encourage you, if you like the Iliad, I do recommend seeking that out. It shouldn't be that hard to find. I mean, you can probably get it for a song on a used book site, but I'm sure most libraries will have a copy of that specific translation. So, one, I wanted to kind of defend this idea that older stories are simple. I think there's quite a bit of complexity in them if you bother to look. I actually don't think you even need to look that hard, to be honest. But the other reason I wanted to mention that was there's a great talk by Kurt Vonnegut on the shapes of stories, and I notice on YouTube that there are two versions of it. There's one sort of shorter one, and I would recommend that you try and not try, but that you look at the longer one, because it's part of a fuller lecture. And the reason why I highlight that one is that while the Shapes of Stories talk does sort of work as a few different plots, the longer version of it actually goes a bit further and sort of highlights how these shapes are somewhat arbitrary, or they're sort of artifice, and that there is instead sort of a flat story that doesn't really tell you what the good news and the bad news is. You don't necessarily know, and that's a better reflection of life. It's a really, really charming talk, and I think it's a worthwhile one. And I don't know, where I can, because sometimes saying, see Bernard Knox's introduction to the Iliad is not really going to compel people to check that out. But I think Vonnegut, because he is such a great presenter, and just overall just has a really disarming kind of presentation style, I think that probably there may be a few more people sold on the complexity of older, or things that we might consider to be primitive stories. But in any case, that caveat on kind of giving older stories their due, and sort of acknowledging that I have sort of this aperture bias almost in terms of looking at Old English, just because of the type of education that I've had and where sort of my interests lie. I think there's an interesting contrast to be drawn between stories like Beowulf, how stories like Beowulf have been treated in more contemporary realizations of them, and how I think that Senua's Saga is doing something interesting and maybe moving even beyond those. So I like to think of Beowulf and Grendel, which is a movie I think most, if not all, of the people who watch this channel will not have even heard of, except for maybe the last stream. And this is a sort of Canadian-Icelandic co-production, which is a retelling of the Beowulf story. And it does something that is kind of common in terms of modern storytelling now, which is to try and look at the truth behind the myth. And in the case of Beowulf and Grendel, it sort of indicates that Hrothgar had sort of committed some injustice or some sort of sin that leads to Grendel performing the attacks. And I don't want to come down too hard on this story for doing that. I had some feelings about the story. Like, I don't think it's a perfect film, but I also don't want to I don't want to trash it for unnecessary reasons. But I think there's actually something justifiable in that particular accounting of it, because again, you do sort of have these cycles of violence, right? Grendel did this thing, so we go and get Grendel, and then we go after Grendel's mother, and so on and so forth. So all that it's doing here is, instead of presenting Grendel as a pure aggressor. It's simply reinforcing this idea of sort of a continuing cycle of violence. So I don't like, in the end, I think what Beowulf and Grendel is doing out of that story is taking a theme that's already present and then just sort of extending the story by with that idea. And then there was like a Robert Zemeckis animated version of Beowulf as well. There's been a lot of different adaptations of Beowulf, but one of the things that I do find a little discouraging in some ways, and again, it's the No Raindrop thinks it's responsible for the flood. Like, in some cases, some people will do something that's interesting, but then it kind of becomes maybe a trope, or maybe it just becomes the next big thing, and it I don't know, it maybe becomes a little bit less interesting as a result. So what sometimes happens in these stories, and you can see how like Beowulf and Grendel will sometimes could be accused of falling into this trap. We have a few different versions of these kinds of stories, usually tellings of old myths or whatever, and it's, again, the truth behind the myth. But essentially, it's sort of I'm going to tell you the real version of it, and actually the bad guy was the good guy all along. And I don't know, I feel there's a couple things. So, like, number one, I'm not entirely sure we need more stories about, fake news that, and I'm not entirely sure we need more stories about people who are actually bad, being good or desirable, right? So I think even Vince Gilligan is saying that, look, we're trying to do something with Breaking Bad, but maybe we don't need another version of this story. And I think that's true. I think there's a comparable version. The one I always like thinking of is the Hieroglyph Project with Neil Stephenson. He wasn't the only one involved with it, but he was the one that sort of drew my attention to it. And this idea that, we've had dystopias for so long that it's actually becoming kind of hard to think about sort of science fiction that has inspired technology in the same way that something like Star Trek or the Jetsons, you can kind of see a bit of a through line from those depictions of the future and the like an Apple product, for instance. So why go on this rant other than wanting to give people a chance to come into the stream on time? I think basically each story should sort of be evaluated on its own merits. But I would say I'm actually going to tell you what really happened in Beowulf, Grendel's really the good guy, isn't the most interesting story that you can tell. And you can sort of see how Senua's Saga might have gone down that path, but it actually does something different. It does something, in my opinion, that's a little bit more interesting. It does actually create the empathy for the for the giants, and that is ultimately how they're overcome. But it's not the giants were good all along. The quote unquote good guys in this story are capable of quite monstrous acts. Senua recognizes the darkness in the slaver as something she possesses herself. There's constant expressions of doubt from the Furies. And I think what's particularly interesting about this is that I don't really think Senua's strength in arms is really doubted at this point. Obviously, you get some combat, and that's fun to do. But it's interesting to see the challenges instead being ones of leadership, and specifically things that highlight her own talent and ability, or sort of the thing that they spent so much time building up in the earlier game, which is her ability to see the world differently. And so I do like this idea of Senua's tests being ones of leadership, something that we haven't necessarily seen her. It's not a role that we've seen her in yet. And it also sort of leads to these really interesting interactions with the other characters, some who may recognize that she has a special ability, others who will see her as this, maybe a leader in a martial sense. But ultimately, the solution is not just a question of, fighting, right? That's the old way. And so as a result, I kind of feel that this is, to me at least, the kind of story that I think is a bit more of an interesting development in relation to some of those trends in storytelling that I was talking about. In some cases, I don't necessarily think the answer to some of the stuff I was talking about is to pretend it didn't happen, right? Breaking Bad is a really good series. And doing a bit of a close reading of a story and maybe drawing something interesting out is, I think there's an opportunity to do something interesting in a story that way. And so, I minimized it by sort of saying, like, do we really need another fake news version of an old telling? Obviously, Wicked did very well, so there's an appetite for that. Whether or not it's desirable to completely pander to an audience is another question, I suppose. But what I think is interesting about Senua's Saga is that it seems to be acknowledging those trends while also pushing itself in its own direction, right? So that there may be a darkness to Senua, but she's not an anti-hero. And there may be a closer look at what we might normally see inside of these kinds of stories, sort of things that we might call a saga, but they are, they're resolved and they're leading to a different kind of conclusion than we would normally see. And I don't know, I mean, maybe this is just going to sound very Hegelian, right? Maybe it's the good old-fashioned, thesis, antithesis, synthesis. Maybe this is the way that you see progress. But one way or the other, it's an engine that, to me, is why I've found this such a worthwhile game to play. And I do specifically want to thank Jamie for recommending it. Now, it's actually been longer than I wanted for that introduction, and I know some of you had to sit through the earlier part when I was having the ISP issues. But I think we're ready to continue on with the game, and we'll see the conclusion.
It's him.
Fargrimmer.
Senua? Senua, is that you?
Lost. He is definitely changed.
There's a fog around me.
Yes.
Before my eyes.
He can't see.
Beside my head.
He has lost himself.
Lost himself to the darkness.
He can't stay here.
Slipping
I
away.
try to have faith.
You need more than faith.
To keep them from falling apart. There's something dark in this place.
Darkness.
He sees it.
Moving through it. Rotten and tainted.
His own darkness.
Help him.
Help him.
You are Fargrimmer. Wondrous mask.
Yes, tell
Who
him.
can find his way anywhere. Can see the light in anything.
He saw the light in you.
He saw it.
And it grows dark now. And I cannot see the way.
Help him.
He helped you.
I'm lost here.
You were lost and he helped you.
Follow the sound of the river. I will find you.
He is fading.
You have to get him out of here.
He is not strong enough.
He doesn't have long.
He always knows what to do.
And now he's lost.
Lost forever.
Doubting.
Blinded.
In this place.
She did this to him.
This place did this to him.
Now, I thought I was supposed to move this way, but Fargrimmer is... Yeah, I'm going to keep moving ahead, like so. I'm sure the game will let me know if I'm going in the wrong direction. I'm guessing this is not where I'm supposed to go, so... I have one more companion. I would have thought I'd climb on that, but there's nowhere else. So I'm just going to take that as I was going in the wrong direction. I guess this is the drawback for me starting here rather than at the very beginning of the
Don't run away.
scene.
You want to keep them safe.
Don't listen to him.
See how they mill around.
Hey, Jamie, how you doing?
Lost lambs. So afraid. Blind.
You could still save them.
Alone. You'd do anything to keep them safe, wouldn't you?
This is your darkness speaking.
I will say, Jamie, I actually had a little trouble getting started today, so you have not missed much. Just the chat with Fargrimer, who's lost in the woods like our other companions. I largely reiterated some of the stuff we were talking about in terms of Beowulf and sort of modern takes on these kinds of stories.
But
And
you can't save everyone, Senua.
Maybe she can.
Sometimes there are choices to be made.
Which one are you going to save?
oh, interesting.
Will you choose?
Senor?
I'm here.
Him.
We have to find the others. Come with me.
Why?
Yes. Yes.
I'm guessing it won't let me back up. I'm sure they have some telemetry on the options that people go for. I feel Fargrimer.
We will find them.
He's not much of a fighter.
Yeah, it's funny to hear them doubt the fighting, because like I think I got the fighting down, but we've been with Fargrimer longer, and so to me it seems like maybe a slightly more obvious choice.
But what about Astrida?
Without you, she will be facing her demons on her own.
Demons she cannot fight.
Who's there? Don't come any closer.
Lost it.
There.
It's me.
So lost. Help her.
Senua? Senua, I thought I'd lost you. I looked for so long. I thought you'd left me behind.
I wouldn't do that. Come on, let's go. Stay close. Where's Thorgesta?
I thought I saw him. He was following me, sword drawn.
That wasn't him.
Thorgesta,
Where is he?
Thorgesta.
He's changed.
different now.
His eyes are red.
Has he been crying?
Something has happened here. What's happened?
What happened to you?
Something terrible.
I think I saw
What did he see?
Something changed him.
something I had to do.
What was it?
What did he have to do?
I didn't want to do it. He forced my hand.
Who?
Something terrible.
Who?
A vision.
No. It's nothing. Just tricks.
Is it real? Oh,
Nothing is ever nothing.
Let's leave this place.
get out now.
His past haunts him.
Get them out of here.
Yes, get them out of here.
Up here.
She lost them, drowned them in their fears. Let the forest lay them bare and scour their minds. She knows that deep excoriation, the fear you will not see the end of. And yet, they made it through. She found them. They are safe. Safe to keep on walking, fight her corner, share the weight. But who is changed and who is not? Do they look at her and doubt? They follow still. No blame, no striking out in hate. But their minds are shuttered tight. and closed off to her eyes. What did Thorgester see, so dark it cannot speak? And Astrida, her primal pain? Feel like that will shake you. The wanderer, always so sure, has a certainty been lost. There's no time now to question or look back. The choice is made.
We're not far now. We can see it from here.
There. Borgarverki.
All the signs she followed have led her here, finally so close to the heart of darkness. The root of the fetid flower whose stench she tracked across the sea. A fortress she must break, not with sword and spear, but open eyes and strength of will.
Bodies. Are they still? Yes. They're still alive.
You can feel it.
How could they? Suffering. Look.
They are for the giants.
Sacrifices.
Monsters.
Monsters. How can they? What is that? Make it stop, Senua.
That is
You have to.
where we sacrifice the offerings.
Monster.
People. Thorgestur.
Yes.
People.
It's where you sacrifice people.
People.
It's where you tie them up and watch them die.
Slowly release them.
We have to rescue them.
We'll go inside. I'll tell my father, and he will cut them down.
Light is fading
Can't
fast.
just leave them.
They're suffering.
You can't.
You can't.
Ástríður, Fagrima, can you please cut them down?
So much
Who's
suffering.
going in?
Bjark know you. And Ástríður. And they don't like you. I don't want to start anything before I've spoken to my father.
You don't know yet, Senua.
Okay. Just me and Thorgesta then.
Tell him.
They will help them.
Rescue the people and keep them safe.
We will.
Yes.
We'll come back.
But wait until we are inside.
Are you really going to just walk in?
They will kill her.
For sure.
She has to.
Thorgesta will tell them.
You trust him?
Look what his father does.
Look what her father did.
They are not their fathers.
She is different.
We are different.
He is different too.
She's come so far. Crossed an ocean, left one world and found another. All the blood, all the fire, everything she's seen carried on a hidden tide. This is the end, the point where light vanishes. And yet it is a pale and quiet place. Hush. Can this be the place she fought so hard to find?
Something is wrong with him.
Something's not right.
He is frightened.
You're worried.
I wasn't supposed to come back
He
empty-handed.
would have dragged you here in chains, Senua.
But all's well. He'll forget about that when he hears what we have to tell him.
But has he changed? I don't trust anything he's saying.
He wants to change.
Does he?
They've spotted us. Will they want to chain me up again?
I won't let that happen.
Maybe the Biag will tell him.
And then what will you do?
It's me! Thorgesto!
Who is he with, them or you?
Trust me. However it might seem,
There's no turning back now.
I'm with you.
It's what he wants to believe, but is it the truth?
Gates are opening, Senua.
Thorgester!
Is he strong enough?
Gods,
Are you strong enough?
I thought you were dead.
Me. Dead. I would see you dead first, Halfdan.
He plays their game. He talks their talk.
It is good to see you, my friend.
She's with me.
The others.
You are safe with him.
He is welcomed here.
We're returning from here.
Stay close.
3 days of clear skies.
Maybe you trust him. But do you trust the others?
Approaching a new killer.
Devastation everywhere.
Who knows if they will listen to him?
Spy.
All she has lost, and all she has to lose.
I have ever seen.
They hear. All the names she carries on her heart, she remembers. This is the last son.
His father's influence is strong.
Your father's influence was strong. But he is not his father.
You are not your father.
You know what it's like to have a father like his. You can show him the way. There is nothing you can do.
Even if he wants to have changed, is it possible?
You can help him.
But can he help himself?
You have to stay with the plan now. There's nothing you can do.
There is no turning back now.
But are you really ready to meet this kind of evil? This kind of monster?
Your purpose. Are you ready, Senua?
No.
She has to be.
They have not returned. The others are lost.
Who is this, young lord? She does not look like a slave.
She wants to join us. I bring news, often. News that could change.
The last sign. Circled round in red, a bloody barrier against the night, a wall to shield you from the savagery. But the true darkness is inside, not out. It always is.
His father.
Now, I would make a guess that Thorgester's going to kill his dad by the end of this, but we'll see.
The one who clouds her mind is here, just as she knew he would be. Some things don't change. There's always one who will seize the reins, see a field of pain and reap it. Ripe blood and bitter tears. Her father, his father.
Look at him.
Sitting there on his throne.
Worshipping himself.
Thorgester, my boy! You've returned.
The goatee. It makes my skin crawl.
This isn't going to work.
When we did not hear from you, I fear the worst.
He does not care for his
How was your raid? Where are the slaves you brought?
dead. All the lost
We hit
ones
a
dead.
storm coming into land. I'm sorry,
Don't apologize.
but Father, we found something more important.
Let's see if this man can listen.
I doubt it.
Something important, you say? A souvenir from your travels.
Calls us a
Father,
souvenir.
listen.
Souvenir.
The giants. They can be killed.
I can kill them. We can kill them.
This woman Senua, she knows how.
He won't believe you.
Give him a chance.
Look in his eyes. Show him who you are.
A souvenir that kills giants.
He doubts.
Why?
The giants cannot be killed. No more than gods can.
I've seen it with my own eyes. Seen 2 giants turned to stone.
He doesn't believe.
I can kill them.
And I could kill you.
We could kill you.
This is nonsense, Thorgester. And dangerously close to Godgau.
You should kill him.
You cannot defy the giants. I alone know how to keep them at bay. Do not turn your back on me.
You must. He must.
He has caused
You
so
are
much
a
pain.
simpleton.
He needs the giants to give him power. He uses the giants to control people.
Thorgester,
Make Thorgester understand.
He needs to understand.
there will be no swaying him. I have known men like him.
Listen to her.
Theirs must be the only voice.
This is his chance to change.
I will convince him.
No, he is weak.
He wants to fight. He just needs to believe it is possible.
He loves his father.
But Thorgester,
She is a liar.
You should never have trusted him.
And you an idiot.
Senua.
This is some trick to overthrow us and destroy all we have built.
Stay calm.
You will watch beside me tonight as the giant takes his tribute.
You get out.
See how indomitable, how terrifying it is.
There will be no tribute.
See how there is no chance in hell you could defeat it.
We have defeated them.
And see how I turn it aside. How I control it through my
death, he is weak.
sacrifice.
She has nothing now.
How it leaves us in peace.
Peace for who?
He will kill her, destroy her.
See how I have saved my people.
Never have come here.
There are no people waiting down there. What will happen
It's
when he
nearly
finds out?
time. Follow me!
Thorgester, stop him.
Stop.
Why doesn't he do something?
He is weak. You should never
He
have
said
trusted
he
him.
was with us.
The sacrifices are gone! Free! There's no one there.
No!
The giant. It's come.
Take her down to the gate.
Light fades, Senua.
Make you strong.
You will die here,
Enrage them.
and nothing will have changed.
For yourself. Don't fight. Do it for them. Find the moment. You are smarter than him. So strong.
They enjoy you.
You just give me a second here. I think we've lost frames. I mean, it's acceptable, but I'm gonna try and do a quick reset. But yes, definitely. I have had half a mind that the giant may actually be the father, but I suspect that doesn't really work. But we'll see. Damn it.
She knows what they're going to do. She knows. He is pathetic. You are fast. You can win. Make him pay. He can read your every move. Playing with you. Fight forever. too slow for you. Let it taste your blade.
Yikes.
You're so much faster than him. You're stronger.
Ugh.
Senua! The giant is coming.
I know. The slaves. You're safe.
What happened?
The Godi wouldn't
I
listen.
told you he wouldn't.
He knows we freed the sacrifices.
Like your father.
He wants to offer me instead.
The Thorgestur?
He was weak.
I don't know.
He didn't try to stop them.
I knew we couldn't trust him.
Yes, she is
Where's
right.
the Godi? We kill him. Now.
Wait!
End this.
Senua, we need to kill the giant right here, right now, in front of the Björk. Show them the truth, just like you showed Thorgestur.
They'll never learn. All they understand is death. We need to end this so we can be free.
She is right. Again.
Kill the Godi.
What are you going to do, Senua? What?
Senua?
Fagram. I don't know.
She can't. She doesn't know his name. Thorgestur.
Come on.
He needs you.
Maybe it's a trick.
A trap. To lure you in. And then kill us. Kill us. Don't be stupid.
Be careful. This is some kind of trick.
She is not listening again. She trusts.
What are you going to do?
We told him already.
I don't know its name. I don't understand.
We cannot fight him yet.
I can't fight it yet. I need time.
We need his name. Not his name. Thorgestur. You can see what he could become. But others don't.
I'm interested to see if the hidden ones show up, because there is a side of me. Hey, yep, how you doing?
To stop this.
I kind of... Sorry, I'll just take a minute here. There's a side of me that imagines, you know, the hidden ones have helped us at these points here, but I sort of feel in the final one, the idea of Senua and Thorgestur being the one to find the name and bring it over is probably like the where this story was going. I don't know if it'll turn out that way. I'm sorry, I got a bot to take care of as well. But wonderful to see you. Yep, as always. I hope you are well. I don't know if you've seen Hellblade or Hellblade 2, but we're right at the end of Hellblade 2. Having a good time with it though.
The giant. It was a trap. Get ready. Remember what you fight for. Don't show weakness. They've captured Astrida and Fargrimmer. We will save them. We will protect everyone. Prepare yourself. How will you ever win this?
Oof. Oh, I suck.
Out of his way. You are smarter than him.
Ah, that didn't work.
So much faster than him. Yes! You are the warrior. Make them fear you. You need to survive. To hit him. You are smarter than him. Show them what they're made of. You are fast, you can win! Not just read you. Are you going to let him kill you? You can't. They are too slow for you.
I really like one thing I didn't really give this game its due on earlier is this feels really brutal to fight. Like you really do need to time it well, and you kind of feel the weight of the enemy you're up against.
Stop this.
Don't let him win. So strong. Enjoy killing.
Oh, it really is, yep.
Take them down!
You are smarter than him. Toying with you. Clever.
Ah!
You are so much faster. What are you doing? Get out of his way.
Now you will be food for the giants. And your blood will give us another day of peace and safety. You hear that, woman? Hear him coming? The most glorious of them all. The tyrant. The king. We have an understanding here now. An unspoken connection. I give him blood, and he gives me power.
Fight to it for him. Get free of him and kill. Hate him.
Everything he is.
No!
Fugesta.
You question me? You have lived through this with me, seen all I have seen, and you question me? I am the only one who knows what to do in this new world. The only one. Do you hear me? This ends now. You fall into life like the others, or you will die.
You are the one we chose. You who have died from this, lived through this. Do you see yet? When the darkness came to this land, when the fire spilled from the mountain and the ash blotted out the sun, it wasn't the end.
For some context, Yip, this was a sort of clan of slavers that we were originally going after. Thorgester was one of the first bosses that we fought. But a large...
People starved and suffered. Homes were destroyed and leaders fell.
A large part of this game has been about Senua sort of showing the world that there is more than just sort of a zero-sum, strong take the slaves to survive the giants, but instead have been...
Ties of friendship loosened, and each one fought for their own.
The hidden ones are explaining. I'll let them do it. Oh man, if you haven't played the first one yet, you really should. And
but in this sea of chaos, one rock stood firm. He said, I know what to do. Follow me, and I will save you. He meant it. Wanted to keep them safe. His people.
Sorry, I think I just lost my frames again. So if the Godi is the
When the darkness
giant,
came to this land,
I imagine Thorgester can't be the one to...
from the mountain and the ash
I mean, maybe he'll
blotted
be the
out
one
the
to take it
sun.
out, but it is about Senua, so I imagine she'll be the one to...
Wasn't the end.
I should maybe just stop guessing. Let the game play out.
People starved and suffered. Homes were destroyed and leaders fell. The ties of friendship loosened, and each one fought for their own. But in this sea of chaos, one rock stood firm. He said, I know what to do. Follow me, and I will save you. He meant it. Wanted to keep them safe. His people.
Though I guess... So, yeah, I'm trying to get a read on the idea of who... So if the identity of the giant is one... If we're right on that, I can see there being two paths for it. So it's Senua's story, so she's the one to deliver it. But on the other hand, Thorgester's the one who understands sort of the humanity behind his father. He's the one who's convinced that he can be... that he can see reason. And so to a certain extent, the completion of Thorgester's journey can be him learning from Senua how to defeat the giant, which of course in this case is his dad. I'm really not sure which direction they're going to go with it, or if they're going to do something different.
Then he saw that fear made the people turn to him. They trusted him, obeyed him, raised him above the others. Their fear made him strong. the land healed and the people healed, their fear ebbed, and he saw them start to turn away, to think for themselves, to choose their own path. Then he felt his own strength ebb in turn. And he wanted to hold on to that strength, to hold his place in their hearts, their wills. So he made the giants, brought them forth from the shaking earth, the roaring sea, the blinding snow, brought them into being. And the people who trusted him and obeyed him, they saw them too, and saw they had more to fear. He knew he held the key. Make them fear. And you can make them do anything. Make them hate. Make them punish the weak. Make them turn against one another, each on each.
Your tribute! My boy. Why did you have to turn your back on me?
Hold him, Senua. He chose you, Senua.
Hold him.
So brave.
I am going to kill him.
We will kill him.
There's always someone ready to take his place. You told me that yourself. Might have been me, if I had never met you. You have to show them a different way. You have to redeem them.
How do I stop this?
You came to stop the sacrifices. Kill the giant.
His father.
The tyrant.
My father's name
One name.
is only fear.
You will end this. End this.
Listen.
Set them free!
They don't need freedom. They are safety. I am the only one who can control the giant's life.
Ugh.
Through him. Focus and free them. You're nothing. They won't hear you. This is the end for you. You can see the truth. Focus. I kept him safe until you came here.
No! I will shine a light on your lies, and they will see the truth. There are no giants, it's just you.
Something is changing.
It's changing. Can you feel it?
All he has created.
All of the blood.
You're a monster!
All the shadows.
Darkness.
Breaking into pieces. You can see it.
Hear it?
His people are turning against him.
Turning against him now.
Confused.
Lost.
Scared. They look to you.
Look at you, Senwa.
You can show them the truth, Senna. Show them what really is.
Stop
The world
this!
that he created.
Tyrant!
The world you destroyed.
Destroyed it.
Show them his lies. He is just like your father.
Terrible.
Just like your father.
You are different.
Nothing like him.
Nothing like your father. Strong.
Look at him. Just an old man.
Get up!
Man.
Get
All
up!
his strength comes from his people.
He has nothing now. He is weak. Now that they have left him, he is all alone.
Like all tyrants. Hollow. And empty.
There is nothing.
Nothing inside.
Nothing at all.
You know what to do.
Do it.
Do you really want the truth? Each person who follows you, you bear their weight on your back. Soon you will do anything to protect them, no matter what pain you inflict on others. And then you will find their belief makes you strong. And you will want to hold on to that strength no matter what. You will become me. cling to you, pleading. Do you see how their hands drag you down? You are everything. What would you do to keep them from harm? What would you do for the truth?
She has to say what she has to say. The only way to
I choose how to end this.
She could. She chose a different path. She's not like him. We are not a monster. You chose a different path.
All the questions answered. Truth burning bright to scour away the darkness. Shadows of horror and hate writ large on the sky. Phantoms made from fear. Darkness outside makes darkness inside. She sees it. But the darkness is inside her too. Because she loves, even after everything. She loves. And if she loves, what will she do to save that love, to keep that promise? All the lost ones, when they find her, what will she do to protect them? All those names, all those lives. What will she do to hold them? Wisdom has a price. She is her mother's child. But she is also her father's.
I see it now. The darkness is inside me. But not the way I thought. Yes, feel it.
Yes, you can see it, can't you?
It is his darkness. Not hers.
Your darkness.
And it carves a path for me.
In your blood, in your bones.
But I can't see where it leads.
Haunting you forever.
Part of me wants to let go of the fear. Let go of my shadows. And be free. No more pain. No more doubt. Honored. Loved. Feared. Always true. Always right. Because they tell me so. Keeping them safe. Keeping their belief alive. No matter the cost. Is this my fate? Can I choose my way?
What will we become?
We are not our fathers. There is always a choice. You taught me that.
We will choose.
Together.
You decide.
All her life she has been alone. She chose it. A shield to keep her heart from harm. A hymn to still the other voices, the ones outside. Not anymore. The ones she saved, the names she found, they lift her up. Their hands reach out to hers. And now, she reaches back to them. Her story is not written. There is always a choice.
What a great game. Looks like you're right on the musician, Jamie. New narrators unlocked. You've completed the main story. Senua's companions are now unlocked as narrators. Choose the others in new story or in the pause game menu after a new game. Oh, that's a neat option. So instead of the main narrator, I'm guessing you get to hear the Furies instead. I'm actually going to see what this is. I mean, it's 23 minutes, so maybe we'll just watch a little bit of it, especially because it's a video, so I don't like the idea of just playing that uninterrupted.
Senua finds a unique courage to keep pushing forwards on her quest, no matter what. She sees the world differently to those around her and faces challenges others would avoid. When driven so strongly by one powerful purpose, she will do anything to rid the world of the darkness. This is her life's mission, and she will not stop until she fulfills her quest.
My name is Eddie, and I have lived with psychosis for most of my life. To me, psychosis means living in a different reality. Reality that isn't shared with other people. Often living with psychosis is dark and miserable. While experiencing psychosis, I've got to hear the voice of God the opposite. Seen and spoken with angels, and been to hell itself. Recovery college and peer support really did turn my life around. I thought I would never get better, and yet here I am. The things that Senua experiences in Hellblade are very similar to some of my own experiences. She lives in a reality that other people might find hard to understand. She sees significance in symbols, in meeting people, in all sorts of things that are going on around her. Senua is experiencing an altered state of reality which would be very hard to understand without having experienced it yourself or playing Hellblade.
Lost soul who fought through hell to find us.
You were lost. Not anymore.
Are you ready for what you will find here?
It's difficult saying that it's an illness, that it's not real. Of course, to me, it is. And of course, to Senua, it is. And that's what's driving her to do these amazing feats of courage, to overcome pain and exhaustion, to do what she knows she must.
All the fear.
Everything I've seen, everything I've done, has led me to this place.
We've come so far.
Not far enough. Say it.
You are ready.
Tell them.
In Senua's saga Hellblade 2, we tell the second part of the story of Senua, a Celtic warrior who, like Eddie, has experiences of psychosis, seeing the world in a unique way and existing in a reality unshared by others. At a surface level, this manifests for Senua in seeing things that others don't, hearing things that others don't, and having unique beliefs about the world.
My name's Paul Fletcher. I'm a psychiatrist and a professor of neuroscience at the University of Cambridge, and I've been working with the Ninja Theory team on Hellblade and other projects for several years now. I am a clinical doctor, but have also added research and teaching to my role. And in all three areas, I'm especially interested in the human brain and how it strives to make sense of the world, which is complex and changing all the time.
The lake.
Like a mirror. You can see the
Senua, like many people, experiences psychosis. Now, psychosis is not a diagnosis, although it is associated with a number of medical and psychiatric conditions. But ultimately, it's a loose description of a shift in one's experience of reality.
What are you doing?
screams of the dead.
There's something here.
They are not.
I need to find out what it is.
They are.
A person with psychosis might experience changes in their perceptions and their beliefs. For example, they might see or hear things that other people can't. And they might come to believe things that are quite uncharacteristic for them. For example, they might feel that somebody, perhaps somebody even very close to them, is intent on trying to harm them. Now, it's very important to remember that this is not just a vague feeling or an imagination. To the person, it feels like their reality, just as everything around me feels like my reality to me. I, like many people, feel that in order to even begin to understand psychosis, we have to start with thinking about how the brain works in general, how it makes sense of the world around it. And when we do that, we're repeatedly confronted with evidence that actually it doesn't just rely on the evidence of our senses, but it actually relies on what it already knows, on its predictions, its anticipations, and its expectations.
Your voices.
Now that might seem like a defect. After all, why would we want to rely on what we already know rather than what the world is telling us. But if we did act simply as passive receivers, we would be completely swamped. We'd be like a newborn infant trying to make sense of the colours and shapes without any way of having a framework to try and understand those colours and shapes.
So
our senses are bombarded with information.
I was going to say, I'm quite interested in this, and I'd like to watch it myself. The only thing I will also say is there is a side of me that says watching sort of a video in its entirety, especially one attached to a game, is a little bit of, to me, that's a bit of a bridge too far in terms of just playing somebody else's stuff to my benefit. So I hope, I don't know if this is available on YouTube or something, so I would encourage you to look it up if you're interested in that. But I definitely, I think it goes without saying, big thumbs up and big endorsement for both the first game, Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, and then I really do feel that Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, really rose to the occasion and built on this game in a way that is beyond what I was expecting. Now I will confess, because there was, I kind of knew that we were close to the end. I didn't appreciate we were that close to the end. I don't actually have as much to say about the end of the game as I thought I might, and it's mostly because I think we really dealt with a lot of it at the start of the stream and over the course of the playthrough. I did really like the choice that the final giant wasn't a giant at all, like that they made it really, really clear that it was Thorgester's father. And it seemed kind of clear that that was the direction where it was going. But I did kind of expect that there would be some form of giant form for the father, which wasn't there. Obviously, the parallels with Senua's own relationship with her father, and likewise sort of a redemption story for Thorgester, I thought was really great there. But maybe I do want to pick up on that thread in terms of the types of stories that we tell, and maybe as a hopefully that these kinds of stories, especially in the context of an action game. Now, I think most people understand that Ninja Theory is trying to do something new and interesting and bigger. So I don't think it's coming as a big surprise to people that, I'm going to be playing this sort of action RPG. And again, there's no RPG elements in this, but and what's this? I'm getting hit in the feels. I think people kind of know that these games are trying to reach for something bigger than what I think a lot of people are expecting for these stories. Jamie also says, I felt like the realistic conclusion in the sense it made so much more sense. Like a realistic, it felt like a realistic conclusion in a sense. It made so much sense it was almost really. I quite liked it. I think the big one for me is that I am definitely attracted to the kinds of stories that show the power of the tyrant is sort of entirely built around this. I guess in the case of Steve Jobs, people will call it the reality distortion field. That there is this great, there's this great appearance of this unbeatable force. And there's a game that actually handles this in a really interesting way called Tyranny, where the tyrant is a magician, and the magic of that world are known as edicts. But I haven't actually gone that far in it, but where that game seems to be going is that the edicts only work because people believe that they will work. And that's a very similar idea, right? And so there's something I liked about that in the sense that because it isn't a big battle with a giant, it's this kind of deflation of this, this charade that the Goaty had put on his people. So for me, I liked it, especially because in the main boss fight, he's definitely a tough boss to fight. You feel the power in that fight. And it is actually, I believe, the only time you directly confront a giant. In the other cases, you've always indirectly confronted them, ultimately because, you know, you share their name and they get turned to stone. Whereas you don't necessarily kill the giant in that final one, right? You don't take his place. Oh, fair enough. Yeah, sorry. It seemed almost like it was kind of a. It felt like it was a letdown of an ending. I quite liked how it ended, so I was a little surprised. But that makes a bit more sense. By the way, I'll just say this again, that Jamie was the one to encourage me to play Hellblade 2. So credit to Jamie for finally pushing me to something that I thoroughly enjoyed and should have played sooner, if I'm completely honest. But yeah, so I mean, where I was going before, you know, I kind of need to acknowledge that, you know, I don't think people are picking up this game, especially the sequel, and being surprised that, you know, it's a game that's aiming for a higher target than what you would normally see inside of game narratives. But I do still think, you know, credit where credit is due. And I guess one of the things that I do like is that the game doesn't really seem to take a lot of shortcuts, or it doesn't sort of let itself off easy, particularly with regards to sort of the presence of the darkness. And I think just given what I talked about a little bit before, about how you can do an interesting, you can kind of do an interesting story, but once it becomes a big, I don't know, like once it becomes a big deal, or once it becomes something that people want to follow on, sometimes what makes those stories special can get lost. So, you know, the example that I would give would be, you know, I said earlier, Breaking Bad. I think Breaking Bad is still a good story. Like even though there's been sort of this sort of follow-on of a lot of anti-heroes, I think what makes that story interesting, of course, is that you have this kind of problem of a continuity. You know, there are clearly actions that Walter takes. He starts off as a very sympathetic, I mean, he may be sympathetic throughout, but, you know, he starts off as a very sympathetic character who, by any standard, you would probably say is a good person. You know, working unrewarding jobs to provide for his family. You know, seems to have been hit with bad luck in terms of the cancer diagnosis. And takes a number of steps, which I think a few different people might have some ideas in terms of the moment in which he becomes a bad guy. But I think kind of the point of that arc is that there may be some room for debate among the people who watch that show as to when he is a bad person. And I think one of the things that you can also say too is that there's also a question in terms of degree, right? Because people who we would think of as good people aren't necessarily good in all cases, right? There's always sort of minor acts of dishonesty, maybe even in the name of some kind of greater good. I mean, I'm sure there's always all sorts of evil that gets committed in the name of some kind of greater good. But, you know, that's I think what the story is doing, and part of what makes it interesting is not so much the anti-hero aspect as it is this progression. And that's not even necessarily unique to that show. So it's a hard movie for me to recommend because it really is very, very tough in terms of its content. But there is a French film called Irreversible. It's an older one, I think probably late 2000s, maybe in the 10s. And essentially, probably more 2000, I'd say mid to late 2000s would be my guess. And the main idea behind it starts off, so it starts with a bit of dialogue at the start, but the thing that is really memorable about it is it starts in the basement of this incredibly seedy club and this completely shocking murder that happens. It is a very, very difficult opening scene to watch, both because of the very disorienting camera work and the there is a soundtrack to it which is very deliberately intended to make you feel on edge and uncomfortable, and it definitely is hitting a lot of very low. That is the one with Monica Bellucci. The very bassy, low, rumbly. Like, there were stories about people sort of running out of the theater throwing up, and I'm not entirely sure that is because of the content so much as just I think that scene is very deliberately also shot in a way to sort of provoke all of those physical reactions. But again, opens with a truly shocking murder scene. And then it goes, about maybe 10 minutes before what led to that moment. And again, emotions are running high. Nobody's killed, but there's definitely, you get to see sort of what led to that moment. And then 10 minutes before, and then 10 minutes before, and then 10 minutes before. And it begins with, this loving couple, enjoying just a weekend together, perfectly happy with each other. And so, some people would argue, I'm not entirely sure if I'm sold on this one, but some might even say that the effort of the structure of the film is to actually try and reverse the events. I guess the thing for me would be, it's that, it is a writer-director, so if they wanted to reverse those events, they never needed to depict them in the first place. But to a certain extent, right, if you think the arc of Breaking Bad is interesting, there is a similar kind of descent which is depicted in Irreversible. But I cannot stress enough that, like, you need to be prepared to see some very, very intense imagery in that movie. I'd actually, to give you an idea, I had warned someone about some of the stuff in that movie, and they had said that they were okay, and halfway through very, very violently reacted and asked to turn it off. They never saw the end of it. So I realize that there can be a way of talking about that just makes it more enticing to people. But again, I think it's a very impressive accomplishment as a film, but it's also a very difficult one to recommend for the very reason that there is content in there that people will be genuinely uncomfortable with. But for the purposes of illustration, right, of these ideas of, sort of a downward spiral and how they're depicted in different stories, there's different ways of doing that. And to a certain extent, they are different mechanisms to sort of to show that same point. So again, I'm also trying to redeem Breaking Bad a little bit, because I don't necessarily think Breaking Bad should be held responsible for lesser stories about anti-heroes that came afterwards. But again, I think when you're in a scenario, and I gave an example in a previous stream about, like, Watchmen, and how, Watchmen is a really interesting comic. It sort of takes this premise of, we've had a lot of comic stories now. We've got a lot of people in weird costumes taking matters into their own hands, and Watchmen effectively says, okay, so what if we actually took this seriously for a moment? Like, isn't the idea of somebody who dresses up as an animal with a sense of moral certainty that they take justice into their own hands, usually through the form of violence? Like, does that not sound like one of the most frightening people you would ever meet? And Watchmen is a big, ambitious, complicated story. I think it's a very good comic. But I think it was Alan Moore who said that after Watchmen came out, you got the feeling that a lot of people who write comic stories didn't really get the point, because it felt like it just spawned a whole set of comics where every character had to have some sort of flaw, and those flaws were like they have a limp or an eye patch or something like that. Now, to be fair, Alan Moore does sometimes come off as perpetually grumpy, but I think that is a legitimate criticism of some stories, especially when you see some comic stories now which do kind of try to take a very Watchmenish approach, of saying, you know, what if we took these stories more seriously? What if we took them in a real sense? But they do largely tell the same sort of comic story. But now they kind of do the equivalent of like midichlorians in the Star Wars episode 1 through 3, where you have this thing, the Force, which nobody really questions or you know, like it's just one of these things, and then they feel the need to sort of explain it through quote unquote science. You know, I'm not entirely sure inventing midichlorians explains anything more than the Force does, but you know, there you go. That's what they chose to do to explain it. So, but there is a reason why, like, I'm trying to tie this to Senua's Saga. The thing that I like about it is that the answer here is not to scrub Senua of the darkness, just to acknowledge that it's there, even have that be a source of conflict. But I do like the fact that ultimately her whole journey and her strength of seeing the world differently, you know, the battle between the mother and the father, the mother does win out in the end, at least as far as the second game is concerned. And I think that's a story that's very much worth telling right now. So I like that they did that, especially because I do feel if you don't have a certain confidence in what you're doing, people who are even well-meaning will go out of their way to sort of roll their eyes and talk about how naive that story is, or how, you know, how unsophisticated your view of the world is. You know, oh, it's just another Manichaean good versus evil, and good always triumphs, do they? Kind of story. But, you know, in the end, the struggle in this one is an internal one. It's largely Senua against herself, even though there are these external forces. It is only through her ability to, you know, to navigate her own troubles and demons, her own doubts, and her own inability to necessarily see the path forward. These are ultimately the qualities that will make her sort of a leader worthy of her people. And I like that they make that struggle very explicit in the sense that, you know, she can become her father. She can become the Godi. It is an easier path, but that she ultimately, you know, can't. I mean, I like it if nothing else because it actually makes Thorgester's sacrifice mean something. But yeah, so it's, I don't know, I guess it's another one that allows the character to have that darkness. It allows that character to have the potential for evil within them. But it does, you know, I think the thing that I like is that maybe the antidote to anti-hero stories is to, at least maybe for what I get from this story, is to show that, you know, the heroism on display, maybe that heroism that we've taken for granted in so many other stories, the ones that maybe we think are naive or, you know, don't quite have a place in the modern day, that the heroism that maybe was a little bit easier to write off or we didn't think was as interesting, is actually as much of, if not a greater struggle. You know, and I mean, that isn't even necessarily a new one, right? If you can keep your head while, you know, all others. This is the subject of poetry and other great works. But I suppose, you know, it doesn't hurt to be reminded of a few of these things, particularly in an attractive packaging like Senua's Saga. But I suppose I should have opened this up during the credits and that, but I'm curious, what did you all think of it? What did you think of it as a story? What did you think of it as a, you know, a piece of entertainment? Are any of you motivated to look up the game on your own? I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to cover on this, or if maybe we should close out the evening with Ace Attorney. I may take a break for myself, but yeah, just maybe as a closing thought for myself before dealing with anything that chat may want to say. I will definitely say, like, I really enjoyed Hellblade. I will confess, actually, I was a bit, if I feel that I'm a little defensive in terms of these types of stories, I just got to play the games. Yep. I'm delighted that you got to see a bit of this, by the way. I will say that if I sound a little defensive of the game as well, I was a little let down when I first played Hellblade, not by anything that happened in chat, but by a subsequent conversation I had with a couple of people who reduced the story of Senua's sacrifice to, mental health issues can be overcome if just you find the right man. And I was like, this is one of the things that has always sort of bugged me about a certain type of critique, where it feels like people, like, essentially because someone can level the critique, it is as good as the game or the text saying that. And I guess to me, I put more weight on the principle of charity than maybe is fashionable nowadays. Hey, Takri. Good to see you. I'm sorry, we just finished the game. This is wonderful, by the way. If you've not played it, I highly recommend playing both the original and this one. It's a feast for the eyes, but I think it's also a really, really well done game. But yeah, I think, I put so I'll put it to you this way. I think the second game takes what was set up in the first one, and it expands it in a very satisfying way. I was very happy how they expanded Senua's journey and let the character grow in this one. So if you do get an opportunity, Kree, I definitely think this is worth the journey. I think it took me about 9 or 10 hours to get through, but of course I'm very talkative. But yeah, so I'm just back to the principle of charity. Like I said, I may put a greater weight on the principle of charity than is fashionable nowadays, but it's the idea that if you're presented with the strongest version of your opponent's argument, or the weak one, the one that's easier to knock down, you go for the stronger one, right? Or at the very least, you take the version that doesn't make your opponent sound ridiculous. It doesn't necessarily mean that you agree with it. It doesn't mean that their position is unassailable. But I feel that, while I think a shallow interpretation of the first Hellblade game would be, mental health can be achieved by finding the right man, I think it is much more enriching, to see the relationship as someone finally acknowledging and accepting Senua for who she is. And I think especially playing the second game, I think anybody who necessarily thinks that her problems are overcome probably wasn't paying attention during the game. So with that in mind, I try where I can to encourage people to maybe engage a bit deeper with what's being said. Again, it's not to say that people can't, I think there's room to say that people can dislike a game. I think there's, room for people to say, the story didn't interest me as much, or I didn't feel the same things playing it. That's all fine. But, I don't know. It's always discouraging. I think it's mostly because the people who are saying that were actually people who are creators themselves. And so I don't know. I really don't like people trashing, even if it's in a minor sense, other works, in the name of, I don't know, I guess it's trying to say that, we need to clapping emoji better. I think it's important to acknowledge, when people have done it well and done it right. as much as it is to critique when things fall short. And in my view, the original game didn't fall short, but obviously I liked it, so I'm more inclined to say that. But yeah, I think we will move on to... Yeah, exactly. And actually, I'll say this. I should introduce Yip properly to people. I've definitely known Yip both as a streamer and as a viewer. And I know that Yip is a well-studied in philosophy. Definitely, actually is much more, I would say, much more educated in a lot of what I've been talking about. And definitely a holder of many interesting opinions. So I feel that I can't say self-conscious. I think probably we should be able to talk about anything that comes up. But Yip is somebody who I've had the great privilege of being able to talk about more in depth, literally philosophical issues. So, all right, I kind of need to go to the bathroom. So I'm going to take a small break. When we return, we are going to do a bit of Ace Attorney, and then I will try to get some sleep, because I had my performance review at work today, and it's funny. I always feel essentially every emotion that you can see in Darkest Dungeon is the feeling that I have. This is my first performance review at the, I guess I can't call it new job anymore, and it went well. They're very complimentary, and I do think there were a couple of genuine accomplishments that I was able to sort of hold up. But I don't know. I don't think anybody necessarily likes, performance evaluations. But I do consider myself very lucky to work where I am. Not least of which because I feel it's an opportunity for me to grow while simultaneously being a place that does recognize the work. It's not too stressful yet, but it's just one of these ones. I'll never feel comfortable about a review. But I think if I can, if I can close off tonight, I don't want to end off here because it'll be too early of a finish. But if I can have a little bit of a break and close out on something of a high and then have a good night's sleep, I'll be ready for tomorrow. I also got to go to the dentist tomorrow, so prepare my body for the horrors. Oh no, Delude! Thank you, Deluded Daybreak. Thank you very much for the raid. I gotta caution you. We finished Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. We actually finished it a little while ago now. I'm gonna be taking a small break, and we're gonna be moving on to the Ace Attorney games. So, thank you for your raid. For those of you who don't know Deluded Daybreak, they are a broadcaster who covers a lot, not exclusively, but has covered a lot of Rift of the Necrodancer lately. In fact, is skilled enough to be ranking reasonably high on some of the charts for Rift of the Necrodancer. Is the Pizza Tower DLC out? Anyways, I will also mention a broadcaster who does Oblivion. Well, not just Oblivion. I think there's been some Morrowind as well, but definitely some very enjoyable times with the Elder Scrolls, and I believe has been working on a Sheogorath cosplay as well. So, great. Thank you, Clone Fighter. I'm pretty sure I've seen you chatting inside of Deluded Daybreak's channel as well, but welcome in. Anyways, I'm sorry to sort of give Deluded a sort of a short shout out here, but I do need to go to the bathroom, and I do need to take my break. I will just say, for those of you who have not played Hellblade or Senua Saga Hellblade 2, very highly recommend. Thank you very much, Jamie, for pushing me to stream that. I very much enjoyed it. Very much thought it was a worthwhile effort. I actually do want to share it with a friend of mine who I think will really appreciate the story as well. But we'll be jumping into the Ace Attorney series when I return. I'll maybe just cue that up so nobody's misled in terms of what's coming up next. But I am going to spaghetti and beet balls. That is very, very good. Let me just take a second here. Base. Well, that's concerning. There we go. And it's terrible for my BRB sign. All right. For those of you who came along on Diluted Daybreak's raid, thank you very much for that. I do apologize for the slow start and the sudden departure. Obviously, Diluted Daybreak is a wonderful broadcaster. I am considerably less wonderful, so no hard feelings if you decide to run off to another part of the internet. I will, however, be back for at least another episode of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, but only after I get myself sorted out. I'll maybe get a glass of water as well. So for those of you that have been with us either at the start or have just arrived, take a minute, get up, stretch, take care of yourself, and we will be back to finish off the night with some Ace Attorney. See you in a bit. Okay, thank you everybody for your patience. Let me just take a minute to recenter the sign, and we will be good to go. This is going to take some effort, I think. Okay, you know what? Close enough. It's been a little while since I've played this, but I think I have enough of an idea to move ahead. If I recall correctly, we had my former boss, her sister, was in a jam. September 7th, 10 a.m., District Court, courtroom number 1. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Maya Fey. Let me just take a quick look at the court. So I've got the attorney's badge. Nobody would believe I was a defense attorney if I didn't carry this. Mia's autopsy report, time of death, September the 5th at 9 p.m. Cause, single blunt force trauma. The death was instantaneous. Maya's cell phone holds a conversation between the chief and Maya. Maya, what's up? You haven't called in a while. Nope. Well, actually, there's something I want you to hold on to for me. Again, what is it this time? It's a clock. It's made to look like that statue, the Thinker, and it tells you the time. I should probably tell you the clock isn't talking right now. Huh? It's not working? That's lame. I had to put the clockwork out. Sorry, I put some papers inside it instead. Papers? Is that the evidence then? I'll leave that one up to your imagination. See you tonight at 9. Glass shards, the broken remains of a glass nightstand, broken beyond all recognition. The Thinker, the murder weapon, looks like a statue, but it's actually a clock made by Larry Butts. I didn't even think it was a collaboration-style game. So I will confess, Diluted Daybreak, this is actually a game that Vesper Fortune, another lovely broadcaster, gifted to the stream. So this is my very first time broadcasting this game. A wiretap found in Miss May's hotel room, and a receipt, a department store receipt with letters written in blood on the back. And then for profiles, Mia Fey, the victim, chief attorney at Fey & Co. Law Offices, and an excellent defense lawyer. Maya Fey, 17, the defendant, Mia's little sister, and a spirit medium in training. Dick Gumshoe, age 30, detective at the local precinct in charge of the initial investigation. Marvin Grossberg, age 64, a veteran defense attorney and Mia's mentor. April May, age 23, an eyewitness to the events, testifies she saw that Maya commit the murder. Miles Edgeworth, a gifted prosecutor and a ruthless man who'd do anything to get a guilty verdict. And the bellboy at the Gatewater Hotel. All right, so I don't know if I'm gonna have enough of these, make enough sense of these materials with the delay, but let's see if we can put this thing to bed. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Maya Fey. If you ever want to tee up for straight, I get a real kick out of it. If you're interested, of course, you do seem like a voice actor that would be fun to play off. Well, it's nice of you to say a voice actor, because I've never thought of myself as such. But yes, Daily to Daybreak, I don't know. So I'll confess, I don't have a great degree of certainty in terms of what our schedules would look like, but I think let's have a chat offline and get something to work, because I think, especially if it's something you'd be interested in doing on your channel, I'm happy to sort of work. I'd definitely be happy to work sort of around your schedule. And I had it's been a while since I've seen this streamer. I hope they're doing all right, but Sweeps the Pillow Clean, we did one of Chambers' King in Yellow short stories. So no, it's actually diluted. I think this is a fine place to bring it up. I'm just a little conscious of the fact, so I know I'm terrible to schedule for, and I've been delighted that you've been streaming recently, but I know you're doing a lot with school, so the last thing I want to do is, give a kind of, oh yeah, we should definitely stream, and then not follow up on it. But I think this is something worth making the time for. So let's work something out for sure. And no, I'm glad that you brought it up. So don't feel like I'm dismissing you on that. But yeah, I imagine the logistics are gonna be a little interesting. But I'm very much looking forward to doing that with you. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Miles Edgeworth. I better not show any signs of weakness today, or he'll be on me in an instant. Mr. Edgeworth, please give the court your opening statement. Thank you, Your Honor. The defendant, Miss Maya Fey, was at the scene of the crime. The prosecution has evidence she committed this murder. And we have a witness who saw her do it. The prosecution sees no reason to doubt the facts of this case, Your Honor. I see. Thank you, Mr. Edgeworth. Let's begin then. If we may call our first witness, Your Honor. The prosecution calls the chief officer at the scene, Detective Gumshoe. Witness, please state your name and profession to the court. Sir, my name's Dick Gumshoe, sir. I'm the detective in charge of the homicides down in the precinct, sir. Detective Gumshoe, please describe for us the details of this murder. Very well, sir. Let me use this floor map of the office to explain. The body was found by this window, here. And the cause of death? Loss of blood due to being struck by a blunt object, sir. The murder weapon was a statue of the Thinker found next to the body, sir. It was heavy enough to be a deadly weapon, even in a girl's hand, sir. Court accepts the statue as evidence. They're still calling it a statue. Floor plans added to the court record. Now, detective. Yes, sir. You immediately arrested Miss Maya Fey, who was found at the scene, correct? Can you tell me why? Yes, sir. I had hard evidence she did it, sir. Detective Gumshoe, please testify to the court about this hard evidence. As soon as the phone call came in, I rushed to the scene. There were two people there already. The defendant, Miss Maya Fey, and the lawyer, Mr. Phoenix Wright. I immediately arrested Mrs. Maya Fey. Why? We had a witness account describing her. The witness saw Miss Maya Fey the very moment of the murder. The very moment, you say? Very well. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. Cross-examine what? I couldn't see a single contradiction in that testimony. Oof. Smack. Hey, Maya just threw something at me. What's this? When my sister couldn't find any contradictions in a witness testimony, she would bluff it and press the witness on every detail. The witness always slips up and says something wrong. It worked lots of times. Huh. I should have expected Maya would know some of her sister's tricks. All right, let's give this a try. Something the matter? No, Your Honor. I'd like to begin my cross-examination. As soon as the phone call came in, I rushed to the scene. Who did you say you got a call from? Hey, pal, don't play dumb. You know who. The call was from a customer at the Gatewater Hotel, right across the from the crime scene. Okay, I press. Not sure it did much, though. Right, please continue. There were two people there already. Detective Gumshoe, how long would you say it took between you receiving the call and your arrival at the scene of the crime? Right. I'd say it was about 3 minutes. It's pretty fast. Our motto of the month is quick response. That's how I got there before the killer got away. Indeed. So, tell us who the two people you found at the scene were. Yes, sir. The defendant, Miss Maya Fey, and the lawyer, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Are you absolutely sure it was us? Listen, pal, your dumb act will only get you so far. With her funky hippie clothes and your spiky hair, you two stand out like suspicious people at a crime scene. Well, he does have a point about her. She is pretty unmistakable. I should pick my point suppressed with a little more care. I immediately arrested Miss Maya Fey. Why's that? What's your reason? We had a witness account describing her. The witness saw Miss Maya Fey the very moment of the murder. Can't see a single contradiction in there. I'll just have to take Maya's advice and press him on anything suspicious. As soon as the fall came, didn't we already do this? Hold on just 1 second. Yeah? If I heard correctly, you said you arrested her because you had hard evidence she did it, correct? Huh? Did I say that? Me? I heard you say it. You did say it. You did say it. Exactly what about the suspicious woman in Pink's claim was hard evidence? What? Miss May isn't suspicious, and sure isn't Pink, pal. I guess she is Pink. That's enough, Detective Gumshoe. Do you have any more solid proof other than her claims, Detective? I guess pressing can have its advantages. Yes. Ugh. Sorry, I got the order of things mixed up in my testimony, Your Honor, sir. There was something I should have told you about first, Your Honor. Very well, Detective. Let's hear your testimony again. After securing the suspect, I examined the scene of the crime with my own eyes. I found a memo written on a piece of paper next to the victim's body. On it, the word Maya was written clearly in blood. Lab results showed that the blood was the victim's. Also, there was blood found on the victim's finger. Before she died, the victim wrote the killer's name. How do you like that? That's my hard evidence. Before we begin cross-examination, I have a question for you, Detective. Your Honor, why didn't you testify about this vital piece of evidence the first time? I know I'm real embarrassed I forgot about it, Your Honor, sir. Try to be more careful. Very well, the defense may begin its cross-examination. After securing the suspect, I examined the scene of the crime with my own eyes. I found a memo written on a piece of paper next to the victim's body. I imagine it's the next part that we're supposed to object to, but let's just press on this one. Just because you found it next to the body doesn't mean the victim wrote it. Ho-ho, then who did write it, smarty pants? Who? The killer. Anyone can see that. Oh, you're saying that the killer wrote her own name. Buddy, please. She was framed. Hold on. If that's the case, where's your evidence? I guess that was a bit of a tall order for you. Those without evidence shouldn't open their mouths, Mr. Wright. Yeah, pal. Well, Detective, tell us what was written on that memo you found. On it, the word Maya was written clearly in blood. Lab test results showed that the blood was the victim's. Also, there was blood found on the victim's finger. Before she died, the victim wrote the killer's name. Detective Gumshoe. Do you get a lot of cases where the victim actually writes the killer's name? Sure, it happens all the time in books and movies. This isn't a movie, Detective. Let's talk about reality, shall we? I guess I haven't heard of many cases, no. Don't you find it at all odd that the victim would write down a name? especially the name of her own sister. Yeah, actually, you got a point, pal. Stop right there. The witness's opinion on the matter is irrelevant. The facts are clear. The victim wrote down the name of the accused. The victim told us the name of her killer. Order! I have thoughts on that, but that's right, what he said. That's his whole testimony. Okay, there has to be a contradiction in there somewhere. Let's find it. After securing the suspect, I examined the scene of the crime with my own eyes. I found a memo written on a piece of paper next to the victim's body. On it, the word Maya was written clearly in blood. Lab test results showed that the blood was the victim's. I guess I should maybe take a look at the... So, I mean, this seems to me the obvious point to object, but I think this is just going to give us the same dialogue again. I think it's just the inference about that. I really don't want to hint. Did you find any evidence? No, don't jump the gun on me, pal. Just listen. I'm getting to the good part. Got a bad feeling about this. Just because you found it next to the body doesn't mean the victim wrote it. Okay, well then we got back to the, killer. Anyone can see that. You're saying the killer wrote her own name? Buddy, please. She was framed. And he objects. If that's the case, where's your evidence? On it, the word Maya was written clearly in blood. Now, I suppose, I mean, we can object, but it very clearly says Maya. I'm curious to see what happens, though. Do you have proof it was Mia who wrote that? Exception, thank you very much for the subscription. Of course I do, pal. Uh-oh, you sounded pretty confident. This might be, not be good. Lab test results showed that the blood was the victim's. Also, there was blood found on the victim's finger. Before she died, the victim wrote the killer's name. It's his whole testimony. Okay, there must... Huh. What kind of tests were these again? Huh? What kind? Well, I hear they take the little bits in the blood and the hermogoblin. I refuse to testify on this matter, pal. I'm no expert on blood tests. Yes, that was quite clear. You may continue with your testimony. Thanks, pal. I mean, Your Honor, sir. Detective Gumshoe. Yeah? I look forward to your next evaluation, as should you. Oh, that was a mess. Right, where was I? On which hand was the bloody finger, Detective? The right hand. She was right-handed. Alright, so I think we've objected to all of the material, so I'm not entirely sure I served myself by doing this in 2 parts, but I know the statue was next to them. I'm not entirely sure the floor plan solves this, but let's... At this point, there doesn't seem to be a consequence for throwing stuff at the wall. The evidence clearly reveals a contradiction in that statement, Your Honor. How exactly are that evidence and the statement just now related? So this seems pretty generic. They aren't, are they? Not at all. Mr. Wright, please think about the facts before making accusations. Alright, so there is a consequence for that. Yeah, we've done this before, so... Well, it could have been the witness, Miss May. Hold on, the witness was in her hotel room, not in the office. Try pulling the other leg, Mr. Wright. It's probably not helpful to flail on this stuff, but it also wasn't necessarily obvious to me, so... Anyway, sorry, the exception. I know that was somewhat half-hearted. Thank you, but thank you very much for a truly ridiculously long period of subscribing, and I do thank you for putting through my more scattered presentation. I also like you. You're very. I guess one thing I would say that I quite like. Usually, whenever you stop by with your subs, I always see you use the emotes, which is something I particularly appreciate. So, for what it's worth. Okay, sorry. Well, Detective, tell us what was written on that memo you found. So, again, I'm trying to think in terms of the... If I'm presenting evidence, I better be sure of it. Oh, wait, hang on, I get it. I should have paid closer attention. I said it aloud, but I didn't... There's a difference between saying the words and registering it. If death was instantaneous, she can't write it on the paper. But I do need to think about where that fits. It showed up with the blood was the victim's. Also, there was blood found on the victim's finger. Before she died, the victim wrote the killer's name. Thank you very much, Jamie. Hope you have a good evening. Detective Gumshoe. There's one thing I want you to clarify for me here. You say that the victim, Mia Fey, wrote this note, that she was accusing the defendant, Maya Fey. That's really what you were saying? Well, this isn't one of those lawyer tricks now, is it? Of course she wrote it. What else? Who else could have? You have it backwards, Detective. Backwards? The victim is the only person who absolutely could not have written it. This is a report from your department, Detective. Immediate death due to a blow from a blunt object. She died immediately. But no butting your way out of this one, Detective. The defense has a point. Someone who died immediately wouldn't have had the time to write anything down. Mr. Wright, I beg your pardon, but when exactly did you obtain that autopsy report? Oh my god, I don't even... I guess it doesn't say... I'm trying to remember... I'm pretty sure we got it... I don't think we got it at the start of the mission, so... I'm gonna go for... the day after? It was the day after the murder. Prosecution's point being... that autopsy report is outdated, Your Honor. What? A second autopsy was performed yesterday at my request. Death was almost immediate due to a blow from a blunt object. But there is a possibility the victim lived for several minutes after the blow. I received these results this morning. No way! Your Honor, it's quite easy to imagine the victim did have the time to write Maya. That is all. I see. Damn you, Edgeworth. Should have known you'd have something up your sleeve. Why, Mr. Wright, you look shocked. Something you want to say? I am inclined to say that... I mean, I want to say you're a sham, Edgeworth, because that's clearly cooked, but, Detective Gumshoe, you're a sham. How could you give me a faulty report? Huh? I thought... Detective Gumshoe? I'm disappointed in you handing him the wrong report like that. I'm sorry, sir. You are at fault, Detective. This isn't going to look good on your evaluation next month. But... Your Honor, I submit this report to the court. Understood? The court accepts the evidence. I think probably... Well, yeah, I was gonna say, I'm trying to... So I am not a lawyer, so I can't speak to... and also, that's not the point of this game, but there's definitely a couple of cases where it's like, I'm not pretty sure you're not allowed to do that in courts. I have a feeling that this is probably trying to push the point that the game earlier was making about keeping, like, pushing and pushing until the contradiction, like, until the contradictions pile up. So I may have taken that in terms of the, indiscriminately push on everything. And I think maybe what it's trying to direct me towards is just the idea of the more nonsense that Edgeworth piles up, the more likely it is that I'll the more likely it is that I'll run into something that that I can work with. All right, Mia's autopsy report: died by a blow from a blunt object. May have lived for a few minutes after being hit. Well, Your Honor, the evidence strongly suggests the victim was identifying the killer. I suppose that's the obvious conclusion. Yes. All right, this isn't good. Prosecution would like to call its next witness. This poor, innocent girl saw the murder with her own eyes. Let the witness, Miss April May, take the stand. Exactly what part of her is innocent? Witness, your name, please. April May, at your service. Order! An introduction should not require any reaction from the crowd. The witness will refrain from wanton winking. Ah, yes, Your Honor. This is not good. It's already captured the heart of every man in this courtroom. Tell us, where were you on the night of September 5th when the murder occurred? Gee, I was like in my hotel room? I checked in right after lunch. This hotel is directly across from the Fay & Co. law offices. That's right, big boy. Please testify to the court about what you saw. It was like 9 at night. I looked out the window, you know? And then, I saw a woman with long hair being attacked. The one attacking her was the mousy girl sitting in the defendant's chair. Then the woman, dodged to one side and ran away. But that girl, she caught up to her and she hit her. Then the woman with the long hair, she kind of slumped. The end. That's all I saw. Every little bitsy witsy. Well, Your Honor, I see it is a remarkably solid testimony. I don't see a need to trouble the witness any... Wait, Your Honor! Yes, Mr. Wright? What about my cross-examination? I thought the witness's testimony just now was quite firm, don't you? Mr. Wright, I understand you were Miss Mia Fey's understudy, were you not? You must know her techniques well. Her cowardly way of finding tiny faults in perfectly good testimonies. Hey, how dare you? Well, Mr. Wright, will you cross-examine the witness? I'll gladly proceed with the cross-examination. If only because I have a feeling Edgeworth doesn't want me to. Just have some weakness. Very well, you may begin your cross-examination. It was like 9 at night. I looked out the window, you know? I think I'm just going to keep pressing until it indicates to me that I shouldn't. Why did you do that? Huh? Why? Why what? Why did you look out the window? Were you expecting to see something? Oh, well, gee. What, that's it? She can't get out of this question that easily. I sort of, you know... I had a feeling. Well, I have a feeling she's trying to avoid the question. Maybe I should press a little harder on this one. I mean, we can go for it. See how far I can run with this. Surely you must have a reason to look out your window at that time of night. Ooh! Mr. Wright, I will not have you badgering my witness. Badgering? You insist on needling her with these trivial questions. I really don't think it should be allowed. Poor girl. Order. Mr. Wright, you have been warned. Poor girl? What about poor me? You looked out the window. What did you see next? Alright, so I don't know if I should be taking that as a scolding not to just press on every item, but attacking her was the mousy girl sitting in the defendant's chair. And then the woman dodged to one side and ran away. That girl, she caught up to her and hit her. How did you know it was my client? Huh? Well, gee. First of all, she had a girl's physique. And secondly, she was small. Who else could it be but her? She has a point. I question your testimony. Hold on a minute, that testimony stinks. What? Miss May, I'm willing to bet that. You saw nothing. Did you really see the defendant at all? Mr. Wright, what is the meaning of this? Yes, what is the meaning? Somebody tell me, because I'm clueless. About this, I mean. Okay, if you had really witnessed my client, Maya Fey, you would have noticed her clothes before noticing her physique. No one wears clothes like this on a daily basis except her. And I'm no expert on fashion, but her hairdo looks far from normal to me. However, the witness's testimony mentions neither of these things. The testimony is bogus. But still, we don't know she was dressed like that way the night of the murder. She was, Your Honor. I saw her. And so did Detective Gumshoe. What do you say to that, Miss May? Or, what are you trying to say, you mean lawyer? I saw what I saw. I just didn't think it was all that trifling little details were necessary, darling. Ms. May, the court would like to remind you to please omit nothing in your testimony. I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'll be a good girl. I promise. Testimony again, if you would. Damn, I almost had her. I did see everything, I did. The victim, the woman, dodged the first attack and ran off to the right. And the girl in the hippie clothes ran after her. And she hit her with that weapon. I saw it, I did. That clock, the kind of statue-y clock? The thinker, I think? Well, does the accuracy of my report not startle you, T? I see. I only wish that you'd been so detailed from the beginning. Please begin the cross-examination. This is testimony in her own words. Time to press and squeeze the truth out of her. Figuratively, of course. So again, I guess we press if we want to try and get more details. Is that right as in your right? As in you, as you looked from the hotel? Which hand do I hold my knife in again? Right, it was my right hand, right? Satisfied, Mr. Wright? Please continue. And the girl in the hippie clothes ran after her. And she hit her with that weapon. I saw it, I did. Where did this weapon come from? She picked it up from the desk. Let's see, what sort of weapon was it? That clock, that statue-y clock? The thinker, I think. A clock? Didn't this come up in another testimony recently? Well, don't look so sour, Mr. Lawyer. You can't win them all. It looks like a statue, but it's actually a clock. Right. I can't present it now, so I'm gonna have to... No, but I have a feeling I'm onto something now. Miss May, what you said just now was quite revealing. Revealing? Ooh, you'd like that, wouldn't you? Naughty Mr. Lawyer. You said that this statue of the Thinker was a clock. But there's no way of knowing that just by looking at it. Ooh. Another person in much the same position as you recently called this a clock, too. And he was found guilty of murder. Order! Miss May, can you explain how you know that this was a clock? Oh, the witness saw the murder with her own eyes. That's all that's important here. The defense is trying to confuse the issue with trivial concerns. Yes, yes, of course. You will withdraw your question, Mr. Wright. But questions are all I have, Your Honor. And as you may recall, I've caught murderers with these questions before. Well, only once. Objection sustained. You may continue to question the witness. That was close. If you stopped me there, the trial would be over. Huh? What? So what happens now? What happens now is you answer my question. How did you know it was a clock? Well, that's because I heard it? Yes, I heard it say the time. So you've been to the law offices of Fay & Co. No, hey, I didn't say that. Why would I go there? I heard it from my hotel room. The law offices of Fay & Co., where the murder took place. It's very close to the hotel. She could easily have heard the clock. Well, Mr. Wright, are you satisfied? So this one is a little bit more obvious just because it says the clock isn't working from the phone record. No, Your Honor. Can't give up now. I just want to know when it lets me present it. I'm not satisfied because she couldn't have heard it. You were at the hotel. Oh, damn it, no. You have proof that she could not? Amateurs. I'm finding it a little hard to know when to present it. In the courtroom, proof is everything. Without it, you have nothing. You are nothing. I would like to pose a test to see if she really could have heard. Just let me present the evidence I want. The prosecution denies your request. What? On what grounds? This is a trivial matter with no direct bearing on the case at hand. Indeed, objection sustained. Damn, time to switch directions. Quick. Ready to proceed, Mr. Wright? No, Your Honor. Can't give up now. I'm not satisfied because... Your Honor, members of the court, it's inconceivable that the clock in question rang. Should probably be a little more precise on the... Clock isn't talking right now. Had to take the clockwork out. That clock is missing its clockwork. How could you possibly... Just take a look, right now. Oh! See anything interesting, Your Honor? It is as the defense says. This clock is missing its clockwork. It's quite empty. Mr. Wright, would you care to explain to the court the meaning of this? It is as you can see. The clock was empty. It couldn't have rung. Therefore, this witness is a big fat liar. Fat? Well, Miss May? Quite a show you've put on for us, Mr. Wright. He knew the clock was empty. Somehow, he knew. I'm afraid you've forgotten one thing, however. Indeed, the clock is empty, as you say. It can't ring. However, we must ask, when was the clockwork removed? If it was after the witness heard the clock, then there is no contradiction. That's true. That is a possibility. The clock might have been emptied after she heard it. That is exactly what happened, Your Honor. Well, Mr. Wright, can you prove when the clockwork was removed? Oh, impossible, of course. I have proof. What? Wasn't it you who told me proof is everything? Well, I was listening. And now I'll show you the proof you like so much. The evidence that proves when the clockwork was removed is... less dramatic than I was wanting. Take a look at this. That's a very cute cell phone. Ooh, you have a girly phone. Wait, this isn't my phone. Listen, this is the defendant's cell phone, and it contains a recording. A recording of a conversation she had with the victim on the day of the murder. Order. The defendant's cell phone? This wasn't brought to my attention. Perhaps Detective Gumshoe overlooked it? Ugh. Good detective better remember he's up for evaluation soon. I gotta say, I'm starting to feel bad for the big fella. Let's hear the conversation. So you just want me to hold on to the thinker for you then? If you could. I should probably tell you, the clock isn't talking right now. Huh? It's not working? That's lame. I had to take the clockwork out, sorry. September 5th, 9:27 a.m. Your Honor, I think this makes it clear the clockwork was already gone by the time it was recorded. Or this was recorded. Which was well before the witness even arrived at her hotel. Well, Miss May, would you care to explain this to the court? Just how did you know the weapon was a clock? Well... Wasn't obvious? I saw that clock before. What store was that again? I go to so many. Oops, I forgot. So the witness had seen it before. That would make sense. Does the defense have any objections, Mr. Wright? Witness claims she had seen it before, but this directly contradicts a piece of evidence already submitted to this court. Well then, let's see it. Please produce this evidence that will prove the witness had not seen the clock before. Oh, well, I guess the cell phone would probably be, Here's undeniable proof. Huh? Please, this is a court case, not some surrealist performance art piece. Perhaps the defense would like to change its mind? Please produce this evidence that will produce the witness had not seen the clock before. I guess it would probably be the wiretap then. Here's undeniable proof. Huh, please. This is a court case. Okay. Oh, it's the fact that Larry made it, I'm assuming. It's simple. This clock was never in any store, ever. A friend of mine made that clock. Only two exist in the world. And the one that isn't here is in police custody. Impossible. Everything is sold in stores. Miss May, I think it's high time you went shopping for a better excuse. Oh, excuse is not on sale today? Ah! What's it to you, porcupine head? That stupid clock doesn't matter, okay? She did it, and she should die for it. Die! Whoa, let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is a court of law, and the witness will remain calm. Okay. Oh, silly me. Did I, like, lose it? I guess I did. Scary. Miss May, let me ask. Tell me, how did you know the weapon was a clock? Oh dear. Does the defense have an opinion on this behavior? Okay, this is it. Yes, Your Honor. Allow me to explain how I see the truth of the matter. Miss April May, you knew the weapon was a clock because you had heard about it. The witness had never held the clock in her hand. However, she had heard that it was a clock. That is correct, Your Honor. There's no other way she could have known the thinker was a clock. And I can show you the proof. Well, this is interesting. Let's see it then. Show me the evidence proving the witness had heard the murder weapon was a clock. So, I was obviously reaching before, but this one is clearly trying to connect the idea of hearing information inside the law office, so I feel on slightly firmer ground here. Hello, Ionix. How you doing? Have a look at this. Oh, that? I found this in Miss May's room. Mr. Wright, please explain to the court what this is. Miss April May, you were tapping the victim, Miss Mia Fey's phone, were you not? Your Honor, this is irrelevant. I'm not entirely sure that it is. Objection overruled. It troubles me that our witness was in possession of a wiretap. This is outrageous. Does the defense truly claim that the witness was tapping her phone? Absolutely. Even if that was the case, which it is not, you still have to prove one thing. Did the victim ever say that the weapon was a clock on the phone? Can you prove that? I think not. Oh yeah? I think I can. It's simple. What? Here's my proof. Proof that the victim said on the phone that the weapon was a clock is, presumably, the phone on which the... I present the defendant's cell phone. Yes, we've seen that. Listen once more to the conversation between the defendant and the victim. Mia, what's up? You haven't called in a while. Well, actually, there's something I want you to hold on to for me. Again? What's it this time? It's a clock. It's made to look like that statue, the Thinker, and it tells you the time. Miss April May, you used a wiretap to listen to this conversation. This is how you knew the Thinker was a clock. Am I wrong? Your Honor, this is ridiculous. Your Honor, look at the witness's face. Does she seem amused to you? The defense demands an answer. Witness, answer the question. Did you tap her phone? Miss May! Shut up, all of you! What gives you the right to talk to me like that? You lawyer! It's no fair. All of you ganging up on me like that. Oh, so I'm the bad girl, is that it? Is that it? That did it. The court's seen the real Miss April May now. Now to deal the final blow. Why did you tap her phone? Answer the question! Do I have to? Isn't this a murder trial? Isn't tippy tapping irrelevant? I mean, the judges have elevated. They're the cream. They rose to the top. Also, welcome, Underwater Monk. Ugh, she's saying exactly what Edgeworth wants her to say. Miss May, you were tapping the victim's phone. I'd hardly call that irrelevant. While this court does not condone the defense's tone of voice, he has a point. Well, Miss May, do you have an explanation for the court? Can you prove you had nothing to do with this murder, even though you tapped her phone? Ha! I'd like to see her pull that off. Mr. Lawyer, I saw that evil, evil grin. You were probably thinking I'd like to see her pull that off, weren't you? Damn, she's good. Well, you're not the first man who's thought that. And of course, I can, and I will. You can't be serious. No way. Way, I say. Way. Oh, and I assure you, I'm serious, Mr. Lawyer. Okay, so the killing happened around 9 at night. Why, that's just when I was getting room service from that sweet bellboy. Room service? Iced coffee, I believe it was. Iced coffee? You know, like normal coffee, but cold. I'm going to take a quick minute here and see the... Okay, we don't know that much about him. If you don't drink it quick, the ice melts, and then you have Regular cold coffee. Iced coffee. Think I'm making this up? Ask the bellboy. Ergo, the witness was not on the scene at the time of the murder. So, where does that leave us? It is my great displeasure to inform you that the witness appears to have been tapping the victim's telephone. However, that is a separate crime with no bearing on this current case whatsoever. Her testimony stands. She saw the defendant, Maya Fey, commit murder. Oh, they're gonna just let her walk away? There's no way I can win unless I tie Miss May to the murder somehow. Well, does the defense have anything to say? Well, come on, think of something. The defense would like to call the hotel bellboy as a witness. There's something suspicious here, and I'm going to get to the bottom of it. I think you've sunken quite low enough already. I object to calling the bellboy. Why? What's your reason? Because I hold that the wiretapping had nothing to do with the killing. However, if you agree to one condition, I will consent to calling this witness. Condition: if Miss April May's alibi is not called into question after you examine the bellboy, then you will recognize that Miss April May was not the killer, thus she is innocent. And thereby you must also accept the verdict of guilty for Miss Maya Fey. That is my condition. What? Better find something suspicious in that bellboy's testimony. Otherwise Maya will be declared guilty on the spot. What should I do? I mean, I'm pretty sure giving up is not an option here. Yeah, I agree, Ionix, but I was gonna say to one of Kree's points on not being fair, I think this game does not exactly take itself seriously, and so I've really tried not to say that wouldn't work. Well, we're the defense, Ionix, so I don't think this would work well for our career. Also, it does actually seem that the... Well, I mean, in fairness, if there was that much jiggle physics, I'd probably stop by more courtrooms. Anyways, we'll accept the condition. Alright, I got nothing to lose except for, well, everything. Understood. I accept your condition. Fool. You fell right into my trap. Uh-oh. Wait. Very well. The court calls this the hotel bellboy to the stand. I believe we're ready for the witness to testify. He certainly does look like a bellboy. Yes, sir. I received your summons in the middle of work, sir. I'm happy to be of service. In fairness, the exception, I actually just finished a coffee, so I, yeah. That tea set looks rather heavy, so without further ado, the witness may begin his testimony. Very good, sir. I'm the head bellboy at the Fine Gatewater Hotel, in business for 4 generations. I believe I received a call after 8 in the evening from our guest, Miss May. She asked for an iced coffee to be brought to her at 9 on the dot, sir. I brought it to her at precisely the requested time, of course, and I delivered the iced coffee to our guest, Miss May herself. I see. The defense may begin the cross-examination. Right. I'm ready, I hope. This is it. If I can't prove Miss May was involved with the murder now, Maya will be finished. I should just double check. So there's the I think this originally had a time, but... so I think the way this works, Ionix, is in the... that health bar, if I kind of frivolously present evidence, it'll penalize me. At least that's why I'm down 2 already. Nine on the dot, you say? Yes, I confirmed that detail several times. She was watching a program on the TV and wished to drink after she finished, sir. 9, the time of the murder. I brought it to her at precisely the requested time, of course. Precisely 9, then. Precisely, exactly, and most definitely, sir. 9 p.m. How can you be so sure? Miss May was quite insistent that it be brought then. Oh, bellboy, tea? I'd like iced coffee at exactly 9 o'clock. Something like that, sir. Therefore, I knocked on her door at the crack of 9 o'clock, sir. Why would she be so particular about the time? Are you sure it was Miss April May herself? Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Yes, sir. As in, so very absolutely, sir. It's an endearing mannerism of mine. How come you're so very certain? Well, when I brought the room service, sir, the guest, sir, favored me with an embarrasser, sir. Embarrasser? Is that French for embrace? Oh, embrasser, yeah. It's French for kiss, sir. But not a French kiss, sir. More of a peck on the cheek. Why would she have done that? I believe perhaps she was momentarily swayed by my prim demeanor, sir. It is a moment I shall never, ever forget, sir. This is pretty fishy to me. I think our Miss May was up to something and wanted the bellboy to remember her. It's no good. There's nothing here. Is that it? Finally, you understand. This bellboy has absolutely no reason to lie. Now, if you have any decency... I should have read more carefully on the kiss. You will end this rather tedious cross-examination here. It was a bit tedious. The witness may leave the stand. I can't let this happen, can I? Wait! Please wait. Yes? Does the defense have something to add? One last question. Let me ask one last question. Your Honor, I must object. This charade of justice has gone on long enough. Now, Mr. Edgeworth. All right, Mr. Wright, I will give you one more question. That's all. Okay. This is really it. Now, this is my last chance. What do I ask him about? I'm more inclined to say room service? Tell me again about room service. Again, sir? At exactly 9 o'clock, I delivered room service to Miss May in room 303. The guests had requested iced coffee. $18 was the charge, as I recall. I see. $18? Does that seem a bit expensive? Yes, well, iced coffee for 2, you know, and we don't skimp on the ice, sir. What did he say? What did you say? Rather, quite. Bellboy, tell us the truth now. Was someone else staying in Mr. May's room? I object. That was objectionable. Objection overruled. The witness will answer the question. Yes, I see. Why did you not mention this in your testimony? Well, sir, you didn't ask. Nice try. That's the sort of thing you're normally supposed to mention. Yes, quite. Indeed. It was the good barrister there, Mr. Edgeworth, who... He asked me not to mention it if I wasn't specifically asked, sir. You fool! I've done it. I've won! Miss April May checked into a twin room with a man, correct? Yes, sir. Then, when you brought them room service, you didn't see that man in the room? That's right, sir. Your Honor, we have just learned of another person involved who may have been the murderer. In light of this new fact, I will hold that it's impossible to judge the defendant. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Edgeworth? And who, Mr. Wright? Who is this other person? Simple. It was... the man with Miss May. The man who checked in with Miss May. Ugh. Your Honor. As has been previously revealed, Miss April May was tapping the victim's phone. Yet Miss May herself has an alibi at the time of the murder. However, that does not clear the man that was with her. The bellboy saw no one else in the room at the time of the murder. My, what a convenient little setup, but it's too late. Too late? I suppose you'd like it if it was too late, wouldn't you? After all, it was you who hid the presence of another man from this court. Ugh. Upstart! Amateur! These accusations are ludicrous! Enough! The court acknowledges the defense's argument. I expect the prosecution and defense to look into the matter fully. Am I understood? Yes, yes, Your Honor. That is all for today in the trial of Maya Fey. Court is adjourned. All right, so I should learn my lesson from last time. It did not really serve me well to break this up into multiple parts. I am, however, at the 3-hour mark, and that's the 3-hour mark after a false start because of the ISP issues. So I think I'm going to end it here, as reluctant as I am to do so. But I'm hoping maybe we'll come back to this on Monday, so I won't have about a month or two keeping me away from Ace Attorney. And if not, I mean, I will say for the game, like, obviously, even though I pressed on everything and then I blew it on one of the bits of evidence, it seemed fairly clear, like even completely forgetting what happened in the preceding day, most of the stuff was either intuitive enough or, you know, once I get through a couple of dumb trials, it wasn't exactly rocket science to line some of this stuff up. So I think we should be fine, especially with the extra time on Monday. So apologies if this seems a little abrupt, but I do need to try and make sure that I'm properly rested for the morning. And I particularly apologize to Ionix, who just showed up. But yeah, I will just say, for those of you who came in after after we'd switched to Ace Attorney, we did finish Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. That was a truly wonderful game. If you get an opportunity to play it, I highly recommend that you do so. And it definitely gave me a lot to think about. And I'm almost certainly going to read Beowulf again now to sort of marinate on it. But maybe I'll do that before bed, maybe not. But I do appreciate everybody hanging out. Thank you to Delayed Daybreak for the host. I will be sure to be in touch about any kind of collaboration on this, assuming I haven't completely thrown you off with the questionable voice acting over the course of this. And I don't have too many people online right now. I think this is a little bit later than I'd normally wrap up, but I do see that Will Shand is streaming, so I'm going to leave you in his capable hands. Will Shand is a bit of a unique broadcaster, so he will tend to find things on sort of the left-hand side of the Steam distribution might be the better way to put this. He tends to find a lot of strange and wonderful sort of low-budget horror games. And some of them may be very janky, some of them may be very amateurish, but he definitely has a fun atmosphere for that, and definitely I think he does a good job of showing off some things that I don't think under any other circumstances you would normally see. I also had the pleasure of meeting him in Vancouver back when I lived there, so he's definitely somebody I like to show a little bit of support for, especially when he's the best available. So for those of you that are looking forward to more Ace Attorney, that will probably be Monday's game. For those of you who just want to see anything, Cyberpunk on Friday. I'm not 100% sure when I'll be able to start that because I've got a dentist appointment tomorrow, so I'm slightly more inclined to sort of work the full day on Friday. But as usual, I'll try to announce stuff on Twitter, and then I will work out the schedule. I believe this month there might be a difference in terms of the local game dev meetup, which may alter the schedule. But I think probably the best thing for me to do would be to say, okay, let's just treat it as normal. And when I know there's a change, I will try and announce that as far in advance as I can. Anyways, thank you everybody for watching. Have a good night. We'll see you next time.